serving you real news right now. Our top story today, a speech at UC Berkeley by Breitbart editor Milo Yiannopoulos was canceled last night after student protested the speech that turned violent. Protesters lit fires, broke windows, threw fireworks into other objects. They tore down barricades, causing the university to cancel the speech and put the campus on lockdown. President Trump criticized the protest in a tweet earlier today, saying, "If UC Berkeley does not allow free speech and practices violence on innocent people with a different point of view, no federal funds, ? And Yiannopoulos posted on his Facebook page earlier, "The left is absolutely terrified of free speech and will do literally anything to shut it down." And in regards to Australia, President Trump had a contentious phone call yesterday with the Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Turnbull. Prime Minister Turnbull said he wants the United States to honor an agreement made by President Obama during his administration, under which the United States would accept 1,250 refugees currently housed in an Australian detention center. President Trump, however, would not commit to accepting the refugees, and the two leaders reportedly exchanged harsh words and ended the call abruptly. After the call, President Trump tweeted about it, saying, "Do you believe it? The Obama administration agreed to take thousands of illegal immigrants from Australia. Why? I will study this dumb deal." And another President Trump news, President Trump announced today that he wants to repeal a law that prohibits tax-exempt churches from engaging in political activities. The law, called the Johnson Amendment because it was proposed by Lyndon Johnson, was passed in 1954. If the law is repealed, tax-exempt churches would be able to openly endorse political candidates and campaign for them. President Trump would need the approval of Congress to overturn the law. And finally, a coffee company owned by a veteran has vowed to hire 10,000 veterans in response to Starbucks saying it would hire 10,000 refugees. The company, Black Rifle Coffee Company, was founded by a former Special Forces operator and posted its pledge on Instagram. Underneath the pledge, the company wrote, "We want to shift the conversation away from foreign policy to domestic issues that hit closer to home." And we will be back right after this short break with Steve Lookner.
So RSBN was born in a one-bedroom office in Pensacola, Florida. And once I realized the potential that we had to become sort of this new media, the people's media, I knew I had something special, and we decided to move our family to Auburn, Alabama.
So I moved across the state to Auburn, Alabama, and joined Right Side Broadcasting. And I know without that opportunity, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be able to support my family.
I wanted to find a passion, and I wanted to love what I did. Finding RSBN was nothing short of divine intervention. I had spent time praying that my passion and my profession would line up.
I relocated from Colorado to Alabama to work for Right Side Broadcasting.
I'm really excited to do stuff that's unique and new and different, and Right Side, I felt, is a place that can give us that chance to do that, and that's why I moved all the way here.
All of these people, including myself, rely on generous donations from people like you. Without your support, we couldn't give you the content and coverage that we offer. We exist to serve the people, and now we need your help. Please help us take Right Side Broadcasting to the next level. Thank you. And to answer a few of our questions, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to tweet Steve
Take you in the middle of the screen.
at Steve Lookner, or you can tweet me too at _Liz Willis. I guess go with
Yes.
Steve because he has an iPad.
So yeah, so if you want, it's at Lookner. So if you want to send a
Is your mic
comment
on?
or a question during the show, what do you need?
Your mic needs to turn on.
My mic needs to turn on, so they can hear me.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry about this, folks. Stay tuned.
well,
Technical difficulties.
if someone wants to come turn my mic on, feel free to do that.
We might have a third guest appearance on the show in a few seconds.
Can they hear me through your mic right now?
Okay, so he said continue. So we're going to continue. Steve, what did you see last night happening with the protests? Will you explain them to anyone that might have somehow missed them?
So last night I was in the office. I came in about 8:30 to pick up some stuff. That makes it sound, well, anyways, long story short, I was in the office about ready to go home, and as I turned up to the TVs we have on the wall, I saw that they were all covering these protests at Berkeley because Milo had supposed to speak there, and all these giant protests happened. And so we went live here just with a little YouTube live stream covering what was going on. And so it was pretty crazy. So, and I bet a lot of people out there haven't seen the video because there wasn't much video of it. So the video you probably saw was Milo Yiannopoulos was supposed to speak at Berkeley, and around the time he was supposed to start to speak, I don't know if he actually got to start his speech, a lot of students gathered on campus and started protesting. It got kind of violent. They were, as you said before, starting fires and throwing things and breaking windows. And it got so bad that they canceled the speech. And at that point, the university announced that the campus was on lockdown and the students should disperse. But they didn't disperse. And so when the mainstream media left it, which was very early on, there were just a lot of students out there on the Berkeley campus hanging out, protesting. Like the fire stuff seemed to be mostly gone by then. But what happened is, so the mainstream media probably stopped covering it about 9:30 or so. But I stuck around and was watching. I was watching BuzzFeed on Facebook, on their Facebook page, BuzzFeed News, was carrying a live stream. There were a couple other live streams that people were carrying from the campus. And we started watching, I was watching along with my viewers, and what happened is they formed like this parade thing where they all got together, all the protesters, and there were a couple big banners. They got behind the banners and they started marching. And it became like this kind of like Sherman's March kind of thing, where they started marching through campus and then eventually out of campus and destroying all this stuff on the way. So we saw, people like me who were watching last night, I saw broken ATMs at numerous banks, broken windows at a T-Mobile store. There was a Starbucks, I guess, that was broken into.
And at that point, it's no longer a protest. That's a riot.
Yes, and the police were nowhere to be found.
I heard that the police were told to stand down.
So I don't know the facts about what they were told, but I do know that this march, as soon as it left campus, and they were destroying stuff all the way, and I'm sure there was other stuff that was destroyed that I don't know about because I can only go off like the one feed I was watching. But I will say the whole time, once that march started and went through campus and off campus, I didn't see police the whole time I was watching. And then after about, I'd say, 2 hours of this going on, the one or two feeds remaining got cut off, and we don't know why. And all these people who were on the stream with me, so I was live streaming this, and there were a bunch of people watching, and people started commenting like, "What happened?" And we spent about an hour trying to find where the stream went. Couldn't find one. But until that went off the air, we didn't see a cop. So, which I thought was There's a couple. I'm going to say there's a couple bad things about this. First of all, I don't like that they told the students to disperse and then they didn't disperse, but then when the students didn't disperse, they didn't disperse the students. They didn't have the cops come out and do it. Because to me, that just sends the message, you know what, we're actually okay with your protesting. And it also sends the message, we're okay with you shutting Milo down. So I took that to be the message they're sending out. And also, just unrelated to the campus Milo thing, and this has happened in other cities too, like Portland, when people protest. These protesters, they damage and vandalize the local businesses, and the police not being out there, they knew that this parade was a destructive parade early on, and yet they let them continue to walk through town, destroying stuff for the next hour and a half or 2 hours. And if I was a business owner there, I'd be absolutely incensed about this.
I think it's really ironic. I saw footage of Starbucks getting looted again and attacked and broken windows, and I don't know if that was exactly related to the event. It's what I saw last night. And in that case, that's the second Starbucks that's been broken into during these riots when Starbucks is on that side of the spectrum. Yeah. So it really stinks for them to be supporting this cause. And
you make it good because Starbucks are the ones who said we want to hire 10,000 refugees.
Exactly,
and stuff.
exactly.
But so there is speculation that, and I don't know the facts of this, but there's some speculation that the people who did a lot of the damage, especially once that parade left the campus, were these anarchist people who were not students.
That's what I was going to ask you. So they were not students.
Oh, no. So I have no idea, and I haven't seen any facts online as to what the actual identities these people are.
It looked like a lot of them were covering their identities.
Yeah, so the people who were doing a lot of the damage seemed to be people dressed in all black and black masks with these big sticks or clubs, but you don't know who they are just from the video.
It was scary looking.
I also read Cassie Dillon of Right Side had a good post this morning on Twitter where she had a post that she shared, I believe, from Campus Reform, and it said that as of this morning, they'd only arrested one person from this whole thing. And if you go online and watch the video, there's just all of this major damage. We're talking multiple felonies committed, destroying ATMs, destroying businesses, and to me, it just sends the absolute wrong message whenever there's protests. I don't care who's protesting and what they're protesting for. If they're breaking stuff and damaging stuff, arrest the people.
I agree. I don't know when it became okay for you to go and destroy private property and to harm individuals. I saw an innocent bystander who was giving a peaceful interview. I'm not sure which side she was on, but somebody walked up to her and pepper sprayed her in the face.
So that video is, I think the woman's name is Kiara Robles or something. You can find it online somewhere. And but she, I believe, so she was wearing a red hat, and I couldn't see the whole front of it, but it looks like a Make America Great Again hat. And I saw some of the interview, and in this clip, which I would suggest you go watch, go find it online and watch it. So she gives a 30-second interview with looks like a local TV news anchor, and she's basically saying, it sounded to me well, these protesters are out here to say what they want, and I respect that fine that they can say what they want, but I wanted to come out here and support my side and say what I wanted, which I believe was the Trump side. And she also said, right at the end of the interview, she said, but what I don't support is the people who are being violent out there. I don't support that. And then she ended the interview, and right as she turned around to leave, somebody came up and just right in her face like this, sprayed, I don't know if it was pepper spray or what, but it was literally right in her face like this, which was just awful. So I don't see how, given all of this stuff was going on and on camera and people around, how there could only be one arrest for all of this.
I don't either. I think a lot of laws were broken, and I am curious to know where the police were. I don't think that's acceptable on any college campus.
I would also ask where the police were beforehand. So
they knew that there was going to be needed extra added security. The Republican Party that had Milo come to speak had said when they agreed to have them on campus that they would have to pay an added expense for the security. Milo.
I'm sorry. That's a really great point, Liz. That that these schools know in advance Milo is coming, and they know from past experience that they're going to need security. And somehow, coincidentally, a lot of these schools, especially the liberal-leaning schools, like the UC schools, they somehow keep managing to not have enough security on hand. They keep managing to underestimate how many police they need. Interesting. You'd think that these very smart people at these really elite colleges could figure out how many police people they're going to need, but they seem to always never figure it out. And I just wonder if they're, they sort of don't want to figure out the right number, and they don't mind having too few police. So it just so happens that they can't control things, and Milo's speech is canceled.
One thing that they're doing successfully is making Milo even more famous than he already is. I'm extremely curious to find out more about him, so this morning I went to Twitter to find his Twitter handle and to follow his tweets, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So, Steve, do you know where he is on Twitter?
So Milo was banned, I believe, in the middle of last year from Twitter. And this came up, I was talking to some of the people watching the stream last night, we were talking about this, and I realized, boy, I vaguely remember him getting kicked off Twitter, but I couldn't remember if he was permanently banned or he was back on or whatever. And I actually did the same thing as you, Liz. I went to his Twitter and saw nothing. So I did some research today, and it turns out he was permanently banned from Twitter last year. But it's... the thing is, supposing... Twitter, when they ban somebody, they don't give a really specific account of why. They give a general account and they say, you violated our terms of service. But they don't specifically say why Milo was, what he exactly was doing. Now, the speculation is that at the time, there was harassment going on with Leslie Jones, if I'm getting the name right, from Saturday Night Live, who was doing a Ghostbusters movie at the time, and she was being harassed by a lot of people online. And the speculation was that Twitter was blaming Milo for all the harassment of her. But if you actually go look at Milo's stuff, there's no evidence out there that Milo said hey everybody, go harass Leslie on Twitter. To me, it's a bit worrisome because it's hard to find the exact evidence, and it looks to me like Twitter was really, they didn't like that this woman was getting all this harassment, which I understand, and and they wanted to blame him for it, but they might have done so without clear evidence that he was directly telling people to go do this stuff. And I haven't seen any direct evidence of that. And I think if you're going to ban somebody from Twitter, I don't know about you, I think it's such a big thing because it's such an important method of communication.
It's a huge platform for a lot of people.
Right. So I think you should have a real, clear reason, and you should lay out your reason why you're banning them exactly. But how do you feel about that?
I think I do remember this happening, and I can't get the stories exactly correct, but if you're going to ban a celebrity, there are a lot of other celebrities that could be banned instead. He's a political voice. There's always going to be controversy, and if you're going to ban someone, you need to have a solid reason. Otherwise, it just illegitimizes the entire company.
This is a really good point. So, it's when you ban someone and you're not clear why you do it, it's very easy to look at. There's so many other people who post these hateful things on Twitter, and often it's celebrities too post these really bad things. So it just seems arbitrary if you're not going to explicitly say what exactly you're banning him for. These are the tweets we're banning him for. Because if you don't do that, then it just looks like you're banning him because he's the conservative guy you hate. And you're not going to ban any of the liberal people. That's what it looks like to me.
It's not fair.
So I think they would look better. You know what I really want to do, Liz? I just want to do one thing right here.
Tell me.
No, I really want to Google Leslie Jones and see if I got this right, because otherwise people are going to be angry out there.
While he's videoing that, today there was actually a protest on Auburn University's campus, and it was a peaceful protest. I believe we have some clips, so let's roll that clip so the viewers can see what a peaceful protest looks like.
We're live at Auburn University, where there's about to be, or going on right now, a protest for anti-Trump's immigration ban. Hopefully we'll be able to get some good footage of some pro-protesters and some anti-protesters.
Show me what democracy looks like!
We showed you it was the election. You lost.
This is what democracy looks like! Show me
Yeah!
what democracy looks like!
Yeah!
This is what democracy looks like!
I'm a combat veteran. I've served 5 years with the United States Marine Corps.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And this shows, I talked with one of my buddies earlier, and he goes, you know what, I heard about this ban, because he's in one of the countries that has a ban on it right now. He said, you know what, I went out and I asked one of my Iraqis, he said, what would happen to me if I was walking down the street of Iraq right now? He goes, funny you said that, because you'd probably get captured, then you'd get tortured, then you'd get your head chopped off. How funny is it that if we go over there, we get our head chopped off, but we want those same people that are nice to come over to our country? That's what's great about America, is you have the right to religion, but you also have to follow rules and regulations that everybody else has to go to.
Not walls!
Build bridges, not walls!
Build bridges, not walls! Build bridges, not walls!
Basically, this is just a peaceful march. It's people marching for people. So we're not marching, against the ban. We're not marching, for anything in particular. It's just people protecting people, which is, I think, what this country needs right now. It's just people loving people. I think that violence is never the answer. Violence is never the way to go. And the way to do it is by showing love. That's the only way you can do it.
Build bridges, not walls! 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 Build bridges, not walls!
Build bridges, not walls!
I think that it's great that they have their beliefs and that they want to tell everybody about it, but I don't really support it. So, I think I didn't realize, since we're in the heart of Alabama, that there would be so many people that were on the liberal side of things, and I really thought it would be more people for Trump than what it was. So I think a lot of people, it's helped people speak out about their actual views, which I think is great. You should have your own personal views.
Wake up, Matt Ryan's elite!
My personal opinion is it just shows how sheltered and how ignorant people are.
Peaceful protest. I didn't see any damage being done. I didn't see any looting or rioting or burning things on fire. Back to the UC Berkeley protest.
Can I ask you about that protest?
Another story.
I was very
please.
interesting. So you interviewed a bunch of people there. Good job, by the way. So were other students who you didn't interview, just hanging out, were they paying attention to the protest, or were they just ignoring it?
There was a lot of people hanging out that were just not in support of the protest. And what is so unique about Auburn is that it is very peaceful, and they weren't being rude or anything. You can see them in the background, a lot of them just watching because they genuinely want to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. There were some President Trump fans that were in the background, singing praises for him. And a a lot of people watching around. There's also presidential SGA elections going on, so there were a lot of people on the concourse for that. It looks like the crowd was huge, but without the presidential campaign.
But it sounds like you're saying that even people out there who disagreed with the protest weren't trying to like be angry. They weren't angry and yelling at them and stuff like that.
You can see people who are completely against the protest with just kind of funny signs. One of them was for the Falcons Super Bowl game this Sunday, and another one was no fear, we just want cheap beer. So that's what they were chanting. They were just kind of making light of it, but at the same time letting the protesters voice their opinions.
Cool. And also I should mention, we have a couple comments here before we get to our next segment, I want to say. And if you want to comment, the best way to do that right now is to direct message me at Twitter, which is at LOOKNER. And your Twitter, and somebody actually said, I think it's missing the underscore down there. See it, Liz?
Oh, yeah.
So Liz, give them your Twitter with the underscore in it.
It's @_ Liz Willis. The same thing as the corner, but there's an underscore underneath it. I'm sorry, somebody else with my name took the Twitter handle before I could get to it.
So that person is probably Liz Willis is probably getting all these tweets.
She's getting all these followers.
Okay, so lots of followers
that
too.
That explains why I don't have so many, right?
and she gets so many emails about Right Side Broadcasting. So we have Norway for Trump had a comment that he wanted to say.
Hey, Norway.
And Norway says, it's an outrage that a riot, so he's talking about the Berkeley riot. He says it's an outrage that a riot like this isn't covered by any other national news network. We were the only ones covering it last night at a certain point in time, once it got late enough. RSBN needs to organize a citizens journalist network, independent freelancing citizens, journalists all over the country that can report directly from incidents like this. So that's what he says. Hey, I would say...
I would love to do that, but I think we need a much bigger network.
Yes.
Some other things have to get in order before we can...
If anybody out there has, say, like $1 million lying around and wants to send it to
we'll
us.
take $1 million, or if you would like to, write us some pieces, we'll take it.
That's it. So, if people want to, send us pieces that they do, if we see them in their, air quality, and that means it's reasonable, and they're not, they're not no profanity, and it's not like there's the cameras going up and down like this all the time. We're happy to run them, so please do send us. Please do send us all the pieces you can.
Yep, correct. All right. Well, thank you for having us, Steve. Thank you for being here. If you have any other questions, you can shoot him a tweet at Steve Lookner. You can tweet me too at _ Liz Willis. Tweet RSBN at RSBN TV or RSBN Network. Do you know the Twitter handle?
RSB Network.
RSB Network. I hope the producer doesn't kill me after this. Thanks for following us, y'all, from Auburn, Alabama. God bless you, America, and good night.
So RSBN was born in a one-bedroom office in Pensacola, Florida. And once I realized the potential that we had to become sort of this new media, the people's media, I knew I had something special, and we decided to move our family to Auburn, Alabama.
So I moved across the state to Auburn, Alabama, and joined Right Side Broadcasting. And I know without that opportunity, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be able to support my family.
I wanted to find a passion, and I wanted to love what I did. Finding RSBN was nothing short of divine intervention. I had spent time praying that my passion and my profession would line up.
I relocated from Colorado to Alabama to work for Right Side Broadcasting.
I'm really excited to do stuff that's unique and new and different, and Right Side, I felt, is a place that can give us that chance to do that. And that's
including myself, rely on generous donations from people like you. Without your support, we couldn't give you the content and coverage that we offer. We exist to serve the people, and now we need your help. Please help us take Right Side Broadcasting to the next level. Thank you.